Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have a special guest today. You guys may recognize her. She's been on every news channel in the last week and in articles all over the place. She's also been on this show before. This is January 6th convict, which she wears proudly, Pam Hemphill. Welcome, Pam, back to the show. It's great to see you.
Oh, and thank you for having me on. What an honor.
Oh,
Um,
no, I appreciate you taking the time. I know that you have been all over the place and doing a ton of interviews. And before we got started, Pam was saying she's exhausted. So, so how are you? How are things?
um, a little overwhelmed, but very excited because finally, because I've been screaming for a year and a half that about Project 2025, and
Hmm.
let's please not allow this dictator to get into office. And finally, I
Yeah.
get a chance to say it more.
Yeah, well, he definitely is enacting the Project 2025 playbook. I mean, there's no doubt at this point. Pretty much everything he's doing, it comes out of that book, out of the, manifesto, I guess you could call it, that they had.
Yeah, everything.
Um, but in regard to January 6th, for people who don't know, Pam is one of only now two. I don't even know if you know about this, Pam, but
Yeah.
one of only two January 6th convicts who, or even defendants, who is saying, no, I don't want Trump's pardon. What I did was wrong. I accept responsibility, and they were right to prosecute me. And Pam spent 60 days in federal prison for her crimes. And she was a very low level offender. I mean, she just walked into the building, was in there for a while, chanting a little bit, and then left. Um, but people who committed much worse crimes that day got as much, or sometimes in some cases less time behind bars, which I find very disturbing. But have you heard, Pam, that Jason Riddle also is saying he does not want Trump's pardon?
Yeah, I think I saw it on some media channel. I'm so excited. Maybe we're
Yeah,
doing a ripple effect. Let's get them coming.
I hope so. I hope more people wake up. I hope that there's a lot more out there who just aren't speaking up, that just maybe want to move on with their lives, maybe don't want to draw attention to themselves. But
Right.
Jason is one that's interesting because he had reached out to me on Facebook a couple of years back, I think it was. And I could tell from the tone and the things that he said and the message that he left me that he still hadn't gotten it. Like he was still, in the cult. So, according to him, he's now no longer drinking. And that was a part of, how he got kind of sucked into the whole thing. And now he literally has said that Trump can shove his pardon up his ass.
Uh,
Yeah.
that's right.
So, and can you explain to my audience why you don't want the pardon? Why, and how that works actually? Can you literally turn it down and say, no, I'm not going to take it?
Well, as far as I've learned, yes, my attorney said I can do that. I'm doing everything I can. I've emailed them. The Office of the Pardon of Attorney contacted my PO and wanting to know I do not want this pardon. So we'll see what happens. But
Okay.
mainly, this is part of my amends. I broke the law that day. I pleaded guilty because I was guilty. So I should finish my sentence. And anyway, it would be a part of their agenda trying to rewrite history. I don't want to
Mhm.
be a part of their narrative that the DOJ was weaponized against us. No, no. And plus,
Yeah.
it'd be a slap in the face to the Capitol Police,
Yeah.
and a rule of law in our nation.
Yeah. It just has set such a dangerous precedent.
It's horrible.
And the thing that pisses me off too is that, well, a couple of things I wanted to ask you about. The first thing is, even if, let's say, Democrats had an uprising and attacked the Capitol or did something similar, and were prosecuted, if we had a Democratic president that comes in next, they're not going to do what Trump did. They're not going to pardon all these people, you know? But what I was saying pisses me off is that you had mentioned to me in I think in a message on Twitter that you've now been offered to come speak before Congress, correct?
Yeah, I just haven't gotten any confirmation yet on it.
And who, can you say who it was who reached out to you?
I don't have it in front of me, but I don't want to do that just yet until there's
Okay,
confirmation. Because then
okay,
everybody will be calling them and,
right, right,
but as
okay.
soon as I get confirmation.
It pisses me off that they're doing it now. You
Yeah.
know, why 4 years later, now that Trump is in office, and they're just now reaching out to you and asking you to come to speak in Congress?
I wrote that letter well, a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I mean, and I've seen all of your posts, you know, tagging all the different various Democrats, telling them that you want to speak up and you want to be a voice, you know, against Trump and against what happened on January 6th. And, you know, the fact that they waited all this time, they could have done this before the election, you know, maybe it would have
Yeah,
helped for the
yeah,
public to hear you in
yeah,
that space,
yeah,
you know,
because
because,
yeah, I knew he was going to pardon everybody. He had to.
yeah,
He had to, because of his own
yeah.
narrative that the DOJ is weaponized against him and everybody else. So that was no brainer. You didn't have to guess. I
Yeah,
knew he was going to
I
pardon.
don't know. I was really on the fence about it because the polling was so clear that the majority of Americans do not agree with him pardoning the violent offenders. You know,
Yeah,
most people were like okay with him pardoning people like you, but to pardon the violent ones who literally beat the hell out of officers, I mean, that just, you know, even his own vice president, even JD Vance said, "Oh, well, of course he's not going to pardon the violent ones who attacked officers." So I really didn't think he was going to do an across the board pardon.
I see Vance as being political, and that was a front. That was a cover. He,
Well,
Trump's message.
I think
Uh,
he is the victim of Trump, just like so
well,
many other people. I think Trump made a fool of him. I think he really didn't think that Trump was going to do it
yeah,
because
and
I think he disagrees with it, honestly.
well,
And
and
then Trump made a liar out of him.
well, people not expecting this. That's understandable, but they're not a dangerous narcissist like Trump. You know,
Yeah,
it's to be expected from a narcissist that
yeah,
he was going to do this.
very true. Yeah, yeah. Plus, you know, it helps him. I always use the analogy of there was a movie, I don't know if you ever saw it. I think it was from the 1990s, um, Demolition Man. And it
No,
was Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone, Sandra Bullock. Really, really good movie, action movie. But it was basically supposed to be this futuristic world where people, you know, were getting arrested for even, you know, they could get a citation even for cursing and stuff like that. But anyway, and it was kind of a comedy too, but they would put these prisoners in like a deep freeze. So instead of them being in prison, they were in a prison, but they were literally like frozen. And they were supposed to be reprogramming their brains while they were in there. And so they were giving them these lessons, like feeding them these lessons while they were under and, you know, unconscious. And they were supposed to be giving them lessons of like knitting and, you know, things that would make them more mellow and happy and good citizens. Well, it came out, you know, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it from the 90s. It comes out that like the guy in charge of the country, kind of the president of our country, was a bad guy. He was, you know, doing some underhanded stuff. Well, he was feeding some of the worst criminals all these horrible lessons. He was teaching them how to do like jujitsu and, you know, how to murder people and all this stuff. And then when he needed them to protect him, he released them. And so that's kind of what I think of this is that Donald Trump had these, dangerous people who some of them were already locked up, many of them, and he needs them now because they will protect him and he knows that they are violent, they are dangerous, and so he
Yeah,
wants them out in the wild.
yeah, exactly. Remember he
Yeah.
said that I could shoot somebody and they would still vote for me?
Mhm.
He feels like
Yeah.
most people are very ignorant.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it blows my mind how many articles I read now where they're interviewing people, asking them what they thought of Trump's first week. And there was one woman who, to this day, claims that there was no violence on January 6th. And if there was violence, it was BLM and Antifa. I mean, 4 years later, and she's still spouting these
Yep,
ridiculous conspiracy theories.
yep, exactly, all of them. No due
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
just insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm finding even news outlets are misrepresenting the facts. I saw a couple of articles talking about what is his name? Straka,
Mhm.
Brandon Straka.
Yeah.
And the article headline said January 6th convict, speaks out after being released. Well, he hasn't been in prison for years. I think
Right,
he was only given like, a couple
couple of weeks.
months.
No, I don't even think that long.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very short
Mhm.
sentence that he received.
Yeah,
So he hasn't been in prison for years. And they're like, "Oh, wow, he just got out." No, he didn't. He's been he's been out and free and, spewing his own conspiracy
yeah,
theories and lies about January 6th.
yeah, all of us were just on the Capitol, we just went inside. Well, I'm sorry, but it's called trespassing. You
Yeah.
weren't allowed to be there that day, it was closed down to the public. But you keep hearing this victim over and over.
Yeah. 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 I mean, if the tear gas, the police, the everything else, the alarms going off, the broken glass, the broken doors, that didn't tell you that you weren't allowed on the Capitol grounds and in the building. I mean, oh boy.
Yeah, that's what my prosecutor said to me. You didn't hear the bells going off? I said, well, there's officers that they're going in and out, so I thought it would be okay, but then see, I got shoved in, but still, it makes sense.
Yeah.
They didn't
Yeah.
want you there.
Yeah. But I mean, at least you've now taken responsibility and admit, you were wrong and it was illegal and, you know,
Yeah,
yeah.
it
Yeah.
was.
Had you heard the news, because I just read this last night, that the Trump DOJ has now deleted the January 6th database from their website?
What would what's on the database?
So it was like a full accounting of all of the cases and, where they were in the process, if they had, been
Oh,
sentenced and what their crimes were and all that. So they just,
and the court recordings of their due process is gone too?
no, that's the good thing. They can't get rid of the court records,
Okay,
but yeah, but they did get rid of that database.
yeah, it never happened. It was a peaceful protest.
Yeah.
We know better when, they've been gaslighting us oh my God, since it started.
Now, you had mentioned that you were receiving, or you'd been, all along receiving threats from other January 6 people and their families or, whomever, people connected to them, allies. Has that gotten any worse since the pardons or?
Oh, no, there's a team that they're all in it together. They call journalists like yourself. They've called the Boise newspaper here. They call people, tell them all this stuff about me and my past and what I did on January 6th and how I lie. Huge smear campaign. I mean, they spend every day on me. They've put up my grandmother's name, my children's pictures, you name it. Twisting something that might have happened 20 years ago. I mean, and it's worked with some people. They didn't want to talk to me.
Oh,
Unfortunately, they don't, there's always two sides to every story because that's why we have divorce court,
right.
But it's been horrifying and it's the hardest part because I didn't get any support for the last year and a half, very little. CNN put me up. You did, thank you. And a few other people, but very little support of the message because I saw the urgency that we cannot keep letting their J6 narrative go on. We have receipts, what really happened, the
Yeah.
officers opened the door, all their lies. And
Yeah.
I wanted people to know the facts, not my opinion, but the
Mm-hmm.
facts. And plus, I was there. I know it wasn't a peaceful protest.
Yeah.
So it's been very difficult
Yeah.
journey.
Well, you've shared you almost got trampled to death by Trump's supporters.
Yeah. I mean, they stepped on my head, pulled out my shoulder, broke my glasses, cut my knee. I wasn't breathing. If it wasn't for the Capitol Police officers, I would not be here. Yeah, and they call themselves patriots. And it's the same thing with Bolin. What's her first name? Bolin.
Who is this?
Uh, who? Roseanne Bolin.
Oh, Rosa. Yeah,
They
Boyland.
stepped on
Yeah.
her and
Yeah.
killed her, but they're trying
Yeah.
to blame a police officer for it.
Yeah.
Just all these lies. So I
Yeah.
just felt desperate. If there's another Pam out there that's listening to the propaganda, maybe I could wake her up, and do
Yeah.
some research on this.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know because we've got so much propaganda on the other side. I just this morning saw an article about a right wing, MAGA, I think it was a pastor who had one of the very violent January 6 convicts on his show. Maccabee, I think is the last name. The guy literally used brass knuckles or like reinforced gloves or something, and
Mhm.
was trying to beat the hell out of the police. And this pastor is saying, "Oh, well, this guy should be given the Medal of Freedom because he's a
Oh,
patriot, and they've lied about him and blah blah." I mean, all of this was on video. He was at the tunnel where so much of that horrific
oh,
violence took place
oh,
and they act like there's not video evidence. I mean,
right. And court evidence,
yeah,
court evidence. Well,
yeah,
Trump wants to keep that message that the DOJ is weaponized against him. So he's using the J6ers to say the same thing. That's why he
mhm,
had to pardon everybody.
yeah,
Otherwise, he would be saying that the DOJ is not weaponized against everybody, but he
yeah,
put it out there that they're weaponized. So they have to keep that narrative going.
yeah,
All eyes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just so sick. I mean, I did a show today that's going to be airing about another guy, another January 6th convict who was just released, and he is wanted now again for allegedly soliciting a minor for sex online. So, I mean, a bunch of them are going to be going back to prison or jail, I should say. So I'm glad about that.
Yeah, and Ryan Samsel, I put it out last night.
Mm.
He was on an
Oh,
interview.
yeah.
Remember the story he had out there that he lost his whole eye?
Yeah.
Gateway pundit. No, he did not lose his whole
Yeah.
eye.
Yeah.
And he was a dangerous one. He said,
Oh, he is.
I didn't hurt that female officer, but the gate that he pushed knocked her down. See what
Yeah.
they do? They twist everything to make them look like they didn't do
Mhm.
anything wrong. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. No, he has
Ah,
a very, very violent history.
yeah.
I mean, he has a very lengthy rap sheet, all violent crimes, choking a woman, until she went unconscious, um, beating his ex-girlfriend. He held her face underwater while she was
Mm.
pregnant. Yeah, I mean,
And they're making him a hero
yeah,
because they all lied about him.
yeah,
He said
yeah.
they even lied about his criminal record.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. What cracks me up is, some of these guys will say, "Oh, well, I'm the victim and they lied about me." Well, then why would you take a plea agreement, like Maccabee for assaulting officers if you are innocent? Why
Exactly.
wouldn't you go to trial, you know? And then even the ones who went to trial, they were all convicted. I mean, there was only one that was given a pass, and it was a bench trial. So, and it was a, Trump judge. And it was, I admit, he was a low level offender. I mean, he literally just walked in, took some pictures, and walked out, like 5, 10 minutes later. But he was the only one who was completely exonerated. Every other one was found guilty in trials, whether it be a bench trial, a jury trial, and all the others took plea deals. I mean, I wouldn't plead guilty to assaulting an officer if I truly did not assault an officer.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
Same with Trump. He's guilty of everything they charged him for,
yeah.
but the DOJ is weaponized. Yeah, give me a break.
Yeah, I'm hoping though there are still, I know for sure there's one civil case going on against Trump. I don't know what's going to happen to that, now that he's the president, unfortunately. But we'll see. The some of the January 6 victims, Congress members and police officers are suing him.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so there's
Glad to
a
hear that.
civil case against him, and we'll see what happens. You know, Unfortunately, all the other cases are done.
No. Well, as a nation, the one thing that the least we could do, because they approved it, is get that plaque up there for the Capitol police officers. Why
Mhm.
haven't they done that? We need to give them pressure. That's the
Yeah,
least we could do for what they did that day. But they're
yeah,
still suffering to this day.
I know. Yeah, there was a petition going around about it.
Oh, good.
I saw the sedition hunters were helping to spread it, but
Okay.
yeah, I mean, with the Republicans in charge, it's not going to happen because for them to approve of that and put that up would be like them admitting what we all know is true,
Well,
that it
it's been
was a
approved,
violent attack and that these officers were in danger.
but it's been approved. They
Yeah,
just need a hammer and a nail. That's it.
yeah, yeah. But they don't want a reminder of it.
I know. Too bad.
They don't want people coming into the Capitol and seeing it. And I think, they're afraid of Trump's base. They're afraid of being attacked. So,
They need to get over that. Get some courage.
yeah,
Stand up to this bully, this dictator. Come
yeah.
on.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. That's not, sadly, there's no backbone on either side of the aisle anymore. I see Democrats now acquiescing to Trump and, just bending the knee and laying down and just, well, he did win the popular vote. And so we have to go. No, bullshit. I mean, he didn't win by a majority.
Right.
He didn't get 50%, you know? So, uh, yeah. So what are your plans? Do you have more interviews coming up and anything else in the works?
Yeah, I think almost every country has gotten a hold of me. There's a few more left.
Wow.
The world is really worried,
Yeah.
extremely worried, especially if Trump doesn't continue supporting Ukraine and the NATO, all this stuff going on, the tariffs.
Hmm.
So they're scared, and they all, you know, agree, and they don't say they do, but he's a dictator. He's not a president right now.
Yeah.
But he's pushing back on all the Americans, so and he's being a bully with all our allies too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty
Same as
booked with
before.
interviews, but no real plans. I'm just hoping eventually. What I'd like to do is just talk to the Democrat Party at
Hmm.
maybe one of their events or something.
Hmm.
But no big plans.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I really appreciate that you were out there. For people who aren't on TikTok or Twitter, Pam was out there all the time, in her state with a Harris sign, first Biden Harris, and then, Harris Walls, trying to gin up support for them in her red state and get the
Yeah.
word out. But yeah, I'm sorry that, more people didn't come out to stand with you.
That's okay. It's understandable today. It's pretty dangerous.
Yeah,
I'm in a red state with all the militias.
yeah, yeah. Well, I know there was one time, actually, I wanted to ask you about this. There was one time that you said you were out there with your sign and a Trump train of cars came through.
Yeah, they know me.
Um,
They
yeah,
know me
and they
personally.
confronted you, or did you confront
Oh,
them?
yeah.
What
Oh,
happened
no.
there?
Oh, just call me a traitor and a communist. And
Did
I
they
just
know
said,
who
I
you
feel,
were?
oh, yeah, I know the Liberty Dogs. I know everybody knows me.
Ah,
Everybody knows me. I was with Ammon Bundy and
mhm,
Idaho Liberty Dogs, the MAGA girls. Oh, yeah. Officers know me by name. I'm known here in
mm,
Boise. So I need to be careful. I can't go to any events right now. I'm not going to. 'Cause
yeah,
who knows? They're really very dangerous people, but I don't
yeah,
care. I just told them, I forgot what I was saying, but I was pretty upset. I was like
yeah,
desperate to say, you don't know who you're voting in, another dictator,
yeah. And they obviously didn't heed your warning.
I
They,
know. I'm a traitor,
oh boy, oh
a
boy,
grifter, trying to make money, a liar, they all these, oh
yeah,
God, they put out everything they can find and
yeah.
twist it about me. It's
And
all
let
right.
me just say for everybody watching that you have never asked for or taken any money for any of
Thank
your
you.
appearances. Definitely not this show because I don't have a budget for to pay people to appear. So,
Well,
I don't know how it is that you're grifting, you know?
Well, it would be an insult. Think about it. For a J6er to be getting on all the plus media doesn't pay you.
Hmm.
Call them and ask. Um, it'd be to take any money. Think about it.
Hmm.
Now, I have committed, if I was to write a book, I'd like the proceeds to go to the Capitol Police though, because
Hmm.
it would be good to have a little book out there. But let's put the money in the fund for the Capitol Police officers. So I
Yeah.
can't make any money off of this. It would be unethical. It wouldn't serve the purpose of what I'm trying to do, which is make amends.
Right.
Nobody owes me nothing, and I owe them everything because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Capitol Police. So
Yeah.
that's my hope. But they try to discredit you because if they say you're out there making money, then
Hmm.
it makes you look like that's all your reason you're out there.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. They say the same thing about me. I see comments here and there in my, YouTube section that, oh, who's paying you? You're a shill for this or that. Is like, I wish.
Well, remember,
I wish I was getting paid by some nefarious,
yeah.
dark left wing figure. I wouldn't have to ask my audience to help out.
Well, remember they had a smear campaign against Mother Teresa after she passed away. You can look it up. I mean,
Boy.
so they're going to smear anybody that's going.
Oh
They're
yeah.
vicious. When you leave the mega cult, they get
Hmm.
vicious and they attack you pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's all right. I don't like bullies. Just makes me want to talk more.
Yeah. That's how I am too. It's like, okay, threaten me. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah, exactly.
All you do is piss me off and make me louder.
That's all. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
to be expected.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see, but there definitely are some unhinged, mentally unstable January 6th defendants and convicts who he just pardoned. And
I
so,
know.
you know, they are a danger. They
They
are
are.
definitely a danger. I mean,
Yeah,
some of them killed people
I
after
know.
January 6th.
Yeah,
So,
I know. I'm
yeah,
being cautious, not paranoid, but
yeah,
not, they're not going to stop me from talking. I don't care how they
yeah,
threaten me, whatever.
yeah.
This is my men's. I'm not done yet. I got to speak to Congress and give a hug to one of the Capitol Police officers. Then I can put this behind me. Then I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you been able to meet any of the Capitol Police officers or at least speak with them?
One did send me something on Twitter in my DMs, and I've
Oh,
heard that they're trying to talk to them to see if they will get on a show with me or something. I hope so, because I want to give them a hug and tell them
yeah.
how sorry I am for being there that day. And you are the heroes.
Yeah.
They're the
Can
heroes.
you say who it was or
I can't think of his name.
was it Aquilina Gonell?
Yes, yes,
Okay. Yeah, he's been one of the more vocal ones.
yeah. I think he's forgiven me.
Oh, well, that's nice.
I can't say that, but to contact me and
Yeah.
say he said thank you for an interview I was on.
Oh, that's nice of him.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
been through so much, all of
Yeah.
them. I
Yeah.
didn't realize what they're still going through
Yeah.
because I was listening to, oh God, I got names go. I still got the chemo brain,
Mm,
but a lot of podcasts that had them on, and they're still
mhm.
going through this stuff. Oh my God,
Yeah.
they're not making money either. But
Oh, yeah.
I bought Harry Dunn's book, so buy his books,
Oh,
buy their
good.
books,
Yeah. Yeah.
try to support them.
Yeah. Well, I would love to have them on. So if if you could reach out
Okay,
to Officer Gonell and let him know, I would love to have him and interview
okay,
him.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Or any of them, you know.
yeah,
Uh, well, gosh, Pam, I really appreciate you getting out there, continuing to speak out, telling the truth. It just shows, I mean, that you have character and ethics and morals, and the rest of them, well, you and Jason Riddle apparently have,
yeah,
you know, are decent people who want to do the right thing and tell the
yeah.
truth. And, everybody else is either a coward who is saying it behind the scenes, or, they're just, they're spoiled brats, as I called them, who just, that's the reason they went to the Capitol in the first place, because they didn't get their way and they refused to take responsibility.
Yeah, with the backlash, it's so bad. I understand. I don't have a job that I could lose, our family. So some people have more, if they speak out publicly, more consequences than
Yeah.
I have. So I can kind of understand it. I wish they'd just write you a little note though. Say, there
Yeah.
is another one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I know it would be nice to hear, even if they just did it privately, but
yeah,
yeah, you're right. I mean, some of them probably don't want to drag it up again. I know there were some that right after the Capitol attack kind of said, I don't want to be involved with this anymore. I'm moving on. I'm,
yeah,
distancing myself, but they haven't come out with a full-throated, I was wrong. I don't deserve a pardon as you have and Jason has. So, and if Jason Riddle sees this, I'd love to interview him as well.
okay, that would be
So,
great.
yeah, so if he ever reaches out to you, or if you know anybody who has any contact information for him, I would love to interview him as well.
Okay, absolutely.
Uh, well, thank you again. Thank you for taking time out with how busy you've been, and you
Oh,
need to get some rest.
well, you're one of
Because
my favorite channels. We don't miss listening to you.
thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. I
you're
always
great.
appreciate when you share my stuff.
Yeah, well,
It
you
means a
give,
lot.
I mean, you're just somebody I can rely on with some truth. So
Oh,
I listen
thank
to
you.
you. It's like you're like my teacher in a classroom.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Well, thanks again, Pam.
Okay.
And yeah,
Thank
if
you.
anything new comes up, I'll definitely ask you back. And
Okay.
like I said, if you hear from anybody that you think, I would
Absolutely.
benefit from having on the show, please, you know, let them
Absolutely.
know and ask if we can, connect. Because now with
Okay.
Twitter, the only way that you can message someone is if you follow each other.
I found that out. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So that's why I could never get a hold of Lev Parnas.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
where's he? I haven't seen him.
yeah, I haven't heard anything from him either. I know his son is really big over on TikTok.
Oh,
He apparently has a huge following on TikTok.
Oh, okay.
So who knew?
Well, again, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You have a great rest of your day. I hope 2025 is good to you, as all of us. But with with this regime, we'll see.
We're just gonna resist and keep pushing back.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wish you all the best as always. I really appreciate you being out there telling the truth.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Pam.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care.